Hi, everyone. Welcome to the February Show and Tell presented by our team here at FS. So excited to have you guys join us again for our second show and tell of the year. If you are not familiar, we do this the first Wednesday of every month, same time every month, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We always invite some of our teams from around the globe to come together, share some things that are currently inspiring us. Just as a reminder, we will share, excuse me, all the links with you later this week, along with the video recording. And if you missed any previous months, you can certainly find them on our YouTube channel by searching for Fashion Snoops, or if you're a client, you can find them on our website as well. Just a few housekeeping things. We're going to jump into, we have a lot of good links today. Definitely use your chat box if you have any questions or anything that you're really loving, resonates with you, that inspires you. Use that chat box, let us know. It actually really helps us as well with our research to kind of know the things that are resonating with you all as our community. Just make sure that you have everyone selected so that everyone attending the webinar, not just our team, can see what you guys are saying. With that, also, we don't have a slide for it, but I did just want to say for any of you who are going to be in Las Vegas next week, attending Project and Sourcing and Magic, we are going to be there. There will be 3 presentations all on the first day by myself for menswear trends over in Project at 11 a.m. And then Melissa Moylan's going to be presenting women's trends later in the afternoon. And Nia Silva from our materials team is going to be doing a preview to spring summer 25 over in sourcing at the very end of the day. So if you are there, please look up the info. We'll be promoting it on our Instagram as well, just so you know where to find us. But let us know if you're there. We'd love to say hi. Okay, I'm gonna just bring up our links today. Today we're actually joined by some of our team members from the culture team, from the kids team, and from the active team. So we have a lot of really good stuff. But we actually have a really great treat. We're gonna start with our creative leader, Chief Creative Officer, Lily Barelovich, and she's going to, I'm gonna let her introduce it, but we have a really great video to kick off this month's webinar. Hey, Lily.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Michael. Thanks. So yesterday was our official pitch day for spring, summer 26, I guess. Sounds so crazy,
26.
right? Always an amazing day. I wish all of you could join us. It's really a full day where the team just brings their vision to the table, and from that our visionary team starts to cook with it and merge ideas, and that's how we kick off the season. And for me, I always bring, my vision and my piece, and that has been transitioning. And I used to bring words to the table, which we would then turn into sentiments. And I'm evolving as well in how I put my ideas forward. So this season, my practice is, whenever a download or an idea or something that I'm passionate about or something that I'm curious about comes to mind or downloads in me. Honestly, it truly downloads in me. I record it. And as I was kind of thinking a few weeks before, what is it that I really want to share for this pitch day? What's most burning in me in the conversation? It was this conversation about what's necessary for us as creators as we transition into this new, AI technological era. What's important for us, and we're going to be exploring that from all different areas. But this was kind of a start, and there are our incredible Claren, who does just magic with videos, help me dream this up in visually. So without saying any more, it's my thoughts and views brought to life for pitch day for the team. So they're gonna have to see it for the second time. I hope you guys enjoy it, and do chat and let me know how it resonates for you and where it lands for you. I think we could go, Michael, unless you have something to add.
No, I was just going to say it's a great treat for all of our community out there. Great behind the scenes of kind of how we kick off our season. So yeah, let's play it. It's great. Here we go.
unique. Isn't it time for us to stop following, to stop looking outwards, to shape and form and express who we are? Isn't it time to tune back into the creator source that we individually are, and share that with the world? I believe this moment in time is asking for just that. I feel that we have been in a long, long, long tunnel. We've been working really, really, really hard to sequence, understand, and map our human mind as much as we could. We've been really busy building, sequencing, patterning, trying to understand the complexity of not only us as humans, but also this reality called life. And I think we've done a pretty good job. Look at the technology that we're surrounded with. Look at the opportunity, the possibilities that are laid out in front of us. Look at all the things that we could now do that we could never do before. What's next for us as humans, as creators, as those who have chosen in this life to put ideas, projects, products, experiences forward? We've chosen this life to be creators. We've chosen this creative life. Each one of us at some point says, this is who I am. And we've been doing an amazing job evolving as creatives, as creators, into this realm of our technological reality. We work faster than ever, more efficiently than ever, more organized than ever. Done, done, done. So if we ask ourselves, what's next for us creators? If the machines we've built are great and good enough to sequence, somewhat predict, program, structure, organize, if they're now good at that and possibly better than we could ever be, why not? We created them to be that. My question to us is, what's next for us? Where do we evolve? Where do we grow? I believe that the evolution of us as creators lives in the specific point of our uniqueness, in that part of me where only me resides, in the unique sequence, filter, source, perspective, vision, understanding, point of view that only occurs inside of me. Now, this place of looking is not something that we have practiced. We have actually practiced to be more alike than be different. Look around. We have technology that shows us how everyone is, so we could try to be a little alike. We have social networks that allow us to connect with like-minded, so we could be a little bit more alike. We have likes, we have approvals, we have an incredible system of keeping us as alike as possible. And maybe that was for a reason, without being angry at that or hating that. Maybe it was the exact space we had to be in order to be sequenced. If we capture the similarities in us, if we sequence those to somewhat understand what's similar about each of us and find those connecting dots, those connections, those patterns that could be predicted, those paths that could be now visible. If that served that, then we're done. We're complete. I think what's next for us is landing in that unique spot of us, the spot that we possibly haven't understood or defined yet about us. But it's that resonance. Only I can feel my resonance, my knowing, my filter, my scanner, my perception of this incredible reality. How do I in-tune? How do I sharpen? How do I tune up that knowing inside of me that differentiates me from everyone else in this world? First, can we give ourselves permission to actually know and feel that? And in that uniqueness, can we also understand that we are also similar to one another? And it doesn't take away the connection points. It doesn't take away the similarity that we all carry as human beings. But it gives us an in to ourselves, a deeper understanding of the source that lives in me. And how do I know that more and more and more, deeper and deeper and deeper, so I could offer it to the world? Imagine a world where each of us brings our unique expression of us, and then collectively creates what's next. Can you feel how rich of a tapestry, how incredible of an orchestra that would be? Can we feel how much more interesting, much more delicious, much more new and fresh and truly, truly, truly innovating that would be? I believe the next frontier of true creation. Is possible when we tap deeper into our individual source, our unique point of view, our one-of-a-kind signature. In this script, in this storyline, in this poem of life.
Thank you, Lily. Love hearing you narrate that. Did you want to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's all to be said. I think that I'd love for all of us to tap into who we are, honestly. And yeah, I see someone's point here. It isn't all that perfect, but I think when we tune in and listen to our inner voice, our inner creative source, I think we can create incredible things. So more to be explored in that conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Active team, I guess we're going to start there. Hi, Tamara.
Hi everyone. So yeah, I'm Tamara. I'm the senior strategist for Activewear, and that first link I wanted to share today is about this really cool new compostable sneakers. So shoe brand Vivo Barefoot and Bellina, which is a material science company, collaborated on a prototype of 3D printed sneakers that are fully made from compostable materials. So what's really cool and interesting here is that it's created through a fully automated process that they call scan to print to soil. So basically, people will be able to scan their feet, print the shoes with the help of a 3D printer, utilizing a bio-based material. And once the wearer is done wearing it, it can just be fully biodegraded and be returned to the earth. If you want, Michael, you can open the second link as well. There are like cool imagery there as well. So the goal of this collab is to offer an alternative to traditional footwear and offer an example of a fully regenerative and circular design approach. So if or when this prototype will be able to be more on a full scale level, this innovation has the power to change how we design or manufacture and dispose of shoes. And apart from the technology, which I thought was obviously super interesting, the shape of these sneakers is also really interesting to note, as these are designed to perfectly fit the shape of each foot, making each pair different. So, they want to offer shoes that follow the feet. And as the brand believes, they say that heavily cushioned shoes are actually damaging people's feet, which negatively impacts the way you move and ultimately your overall health. So definitely a radical idea here, but I'm very curious to see how that will, evolve into the future.
It's interesting. I think we've been doing show and tell for probably about 10 years, most of those years internally. I think we've had more shares about innovations in like sneaker or footwear soles than like any other topic.
Yes, it's like such an interesting field to, dive into. We have our
Yeah.
footwear innovation report, and it's honestly, and I think Rachel can attest to that, one of our favorites to work on.
Big time. And we're gonna stick with the sneaker conversation because we're on a sneaker kick. No pun intended, but we'll take it. For anyone that doesn't know me, I am Rachel Gettner and I'm the director of Active. So jumping off of the sneaker conversation as Tamara introed for us, you can jump down a little bit. We just wanted to give a shout out to some really cool ideas that we saw from some of the latest runways during Fashion Week in Milan. So this is some of the designs from a brand called Mordecai. If you're not familiar with them, that's okay. They're quite new from 2022, so a little bit new on the scene. The founder and designer, Ludovico Bruno, he comes from a background working at brands such as Moncler, Thom Browne, Ambush. He's even collaborated with Matthew Williams and Craig Green. So definitely a lot of experience with some of the most innovative designers that we speak about a lot from today. So this is showing a little bit of the design process. The latest collection was entitled Flight Techniques. And the core of the inspiration was the desire to explore the lightness in clothing. Bruno really wanted to explore the concept of traveling light and how we can really challenge the boundaries of style and functionality. And while we loved these garments, especially the colors, the real star of the show was the collaboration with Vibram. So I think if you scroll a little bit further down, you can see it here. Pause. We love this. The design teams worked together. So the design team from Mordecai and Vibram came together to update some of the styles that we know and love, such as the Furoshiki, which emphasizes that barefoot experience that Tamara was just speaking about. So a lot more of this running barefoot trend, picking up speed. And then also the 5, which we know we love or hate relationship with. For me personally, love. But it's been getting a lot of attention on and off the runways. We've been seeing a lot of high-end designers really take on their style with this 5-finger footwear. So we saw this at the Mordecai show. And then a little bit further, there was a new sneaker altogether. So all of these footwear designs are really channeling that theme of lightness. But this one was the real star for us. Me and Tamara geeked out. We really loved it. And it really takes on that concept even further. So if you go back to that video, I'll explain. So it looks a little bit like a mix between an indoor martial art or dance, but it really has this quiet and unexpected functionality. It can be folded right into the size of your palm. So that's truly maximizing storage and convenience. And this style in particular is called the 1/4 because it's so small. So that between the running barefoot and footwear that you can really take into the palm of your hand, I think are some key trends to really look out for with these future forward footwear designs that, yeah, again, if you're not familiar with our footwear reports, it's definitely time to get acquainted.
I thought it was so interesting just to inject that like bit of lightness into a fall winter collection, which we don't often see. So that was really great that they did that.
Agreed. It's all about
Absolutely.
layering.
Exactly, and all about comfort.
Both.
Awesome. So yeah, my next link is a little bit more art inspired. So I wanted to share this really cool basketball court design that is located in Versailles, France. So it's made by Playgones, and this is a French style basketball court that is inspired by the gardens of the Chateau de Versailles and has these beautiful green hues, regal emblems, and patterns of organic shapes and flowing lines. And I love how they combined, the requirements of a regulation basketball field, such as the court dimensions and hoop positions, but they kind of like blended it with the aesthetics inspired by the gardens, sitting between sports, art, and local history. And, internally at FS, we definitely have been tracking more and more of these designs that have this local charm. And they are just really fun to, actually see translated. You are seeing more and more also of this more free-spirited and experimental, concepts, really challenging the norms. And what's also really interesting here is that the project was conceived and implemented in collaboration with a local basketball club and works actually as a community hub, proving, to be a really good example of how sports can bring communities together, especially, when inspired in this rich history of their surroundings.
Very cool. I'm married to someone who's obsessed with college basketball, so this time of year we have it on all the time. And if only some of the NCAA courts had cool, beautiful, print and pattern. Some of theirs are really horrific.
Oh
So
my God, I cannot imagine. Then I would
yeah,
watch it too.
yeah.
Tamara, you hit on like the intersection of all my interests, design and basketball. But if anyone's seen the Cleveland Cavaliers games lately, they actually have an interesting court design that sort of reminds me of this. It kind of has like this filigree pattern, which is like I think a really great way to play with like the lines and the curves of the basketball court.
Yeah, the NBA does a little better at it than NCAA. Just some of the universities, I think they try to do some really cool innovation on what they print on the floor, but sometimes it's so much that it's just like hard to watch the game because it's just, yeah.
I've been really interested in all of course, like the AI that you see on
Yeah,
Instagram of all of the different basketball courts, tennis courts. You're like, does this exist? And if
I
so,
know. I
I want
know.
to go play. I want to go play on it, but you never really know. But I have to check out that basketball court, Tamara. It's really
Yeah.
cool. So going a little bit, speaking of AI and a little bit more tech, we're gonna look a little bit at some more smart home devices. So this project here is coming from my neck of the woods. I wanted to highlight this incredible project from a designer here in the Netherlands at the Design Academy. This is by artist Yujin Chung. So she played with the concept of Feng Shui and how that relates to digital devices found within our homes today. So quite the contrast and definitely a little bit tongue-in-cheek. So Feng Shui is a practice that centers around promoting the flow of positive energy, and that is said to increase well-being and prosperity. So here, again, the satirical approach using electronic devices that create a visual illusion of energy flow. So here we're seeing the spinning crystals, the flowing waterfalls, and even chimes that appear as though they're swaying in this really soft digital virtual breeze. The three items are controlled, of course, using Bluetooth and a smartphone app, which the designer says also is a statement about consumers of today. She says the reason why Feng Shui is gaining popularity is because we're all striving for success. And Feng Shui offers you a little bit of hope that is beyond your control, but it's also human nature to, of course, want control. So this project I thought was really cool, such a tongue-in-cheek and also thought-provoking approach. We're definitely seeing a growing trend, a nonstop growing trend of smart homes and intuitive tech. But this one is really putting you in control of your own energy. So I don't know if that's something that you saw from the latest CES, Navarra Jordan, but I definitely thought this project was super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I
It kind
would
of has an
love to try it out.
It has an Edwardian vibe about it to me. Like it reminds me of like the movie The Prestige, or I don't know. It has that kind of when electricity was new, but it also has a futuristic bent. So it's really interesting.
Oh,
Yeah,
I like that
exactly.
angle.
Yeah, yeah.
Love it. So yeah, moving on to some real technology that we saw at the CES. I wanted to talk, about the new Samsung Galaxy Ring. So in our activewear department, we are always looking towards what is new in terms of wearable technology, as we see, that consumers have a strong interest in personal health data and fitness tracking, and, especially devices that track health metrics like heart rates, calories burned, sleep, that promotes active recovery. So at this point, not a lot of details are known, but they talked about how this ring will be able to empower more people to manage their health through a more comprehensive yet simplified approach to everyday wellness at home. And that's definitely something that we also, talk about a lot, these kind of like everyday at home wellness moments. And for the brand, the focus will be on tracking data over a more lengthy period of time with no sensor technology that are comfortable to wear 24/7. So one of the big players here is, of course, Aura. We utilize them in some of our reports already, but a lot of other brands are diving into that smart ring section. So an article that I also linked, I think the second one, Michael, talks even about the year of the smart ring. So there are some cool imagery here about the CES show. And I think there's definitely something to say about how we see that in general, people are looking for technology that seamlessly blends into their daily life. They're almost invisible, and making these wearable devices a little bit more purposeful and intuitive. So, especially thinking about the design of these rings are a little bit more discreet. They are a little bit more suited, to sleep track as well, because the underside of your finger is actually a more accurate place to track than your wrist. So definitely really intrigued by this and interested to see, what will happen or evolve from these kind of like wearable technology designs.
It's interesting. Some people would be more apt to wear a smart ring than they would a smart watch. So I think it's a really clever.
Yeah, they see it also as like, less of a extension of your phone, while your smartwatch is more kind of that. So I think people want to like step away from that. So
Right.
yeah, definitely interesting to see that.
Very cool. Thanks, Active Team.
Thank you.
And active and culture go hand in hand, of course. So we'll go over to Navara now. Hey, Navara.
Hi, everybody. My name is Navara. I'm the Director of Culture and Consumer Insights at FS. And to kind of piggyback off of what Rachel and Tamara shared, my links actually have to do with how, rather than function, some new devices and consumer electronics that are being driven by design and style. So this is something that we spotted at the latest Consumer Electronics Show, the Rabbit R1. It's a walkie-talkie. You can just scroll down as I talk. So this is being marketed as an AI pocket companion. I think the novelty here is that it kind of pairs this retro analog design with these like high-tech AI capabilities, although the way it functions is pretty simple. Like you just press down on a button and you interact with the AI that way. Not surprisingly, this was designed in partnership with Teenage Engineering, who are, I think, the one design studio that's regularly putting out devices that I instantly feel like collector's items. So these are due to ship out in March, and they've already maxed out on pre-orders here. Then the next link I have from CES, by the way, for any subscribers out there, we have our full coverage of CES up in the culture section right now under events. So next we have the Infinix E-Color Shift phone panel. You know, I think people have been waiting for e-ink, electronic ink, to take off for a long time. And I think this example presents a pretty good use case for it. And I think we've finally arrived at this point in time for the technology to take off, with digital spaces becoming a lot more enmeshed with our physical world. I feel that younger generations especially are a lot more receptive to products like this that are interactive and changeable. Things that maybe previously might have been seen as a little bit gimmicky. I feel like younger generations are getting a lot more receptive to that. On top of that, I think something like this kind of addresses the personalization and novelty factor that so many customers are craving these days. And then this kind of reminded me of this third link, the Honor V purse that we spotted at another consumer electronics show last year, IFA. If you want to just scroll down here. So this is a smartphone that flips into a purse. So basically the phone screens become the exterior of the purse when you fold it, and you can customize a screensaver that shows up on the outside and also interact with it through touch.
I guess the battery needs to be really good.
Well, the thing with the previous example is that it doesn't consume power. It uses the technology that doesn't consume power, but with this one, because it's like your screen, I think it's almost like, I mean, you know, if you have your computer on screensaver mode, it doesn't consume as much power, but it still probably does. I mean, something like this I think is a really great vehicle for like a lot of the generative art we're seeing, you know, just like art that continues to change and change. It's never the same at any given time.
Yeah, huge opportunity.
And then I think I might skip this just in the interest of time. I might skip, I think we've all seen a lot of Taylor Swift lately, and so I could probably skip this one. So let's move on to the third, a new global gender divide.
You got it. Hey, the links will be there if anyone wants to get into the conversation, they can.
So this article on the growing ideological divide between the genders became this huge topic of conversation last week. So in this article, if you scroll down a little bit, the author charts how there's like a couple graphs here. So you can leave it right here. So the author charts how globally women are trending more liberal while men are getting a lot more conservative. So while the reasons behind this are something we can probably take a whole nother session to discuss, I did think that a really interesting thing that came out of this was like all the discourse around the actual data analysis here. So if we take a look at the next link. So there's a data scientist, Alan Downey, that kind of questioned these results, and he did his own data analysis. Do you see here? So while he did discern some division here, he did notice overall chart an upward trajectory, or a liberal trajectory for both genders, as you see here. And then so a lot of people have been kind of like doing their own analyses and pulling from like different data. I think the next link is really interesting too. Another response to this. From Prashant Garg. And so what he did here is he broke down this kind of ideological divide down by topic, whether it's abortion rights or climate change. And also here he found less of a dramatic gap than originally depicted in that one Financial Times article. So while I don't doubt that there's a divide there, I mean, we only have to be living to like notice that there is maybe some difference happening. I do think this is all kind of like a cautionary tale around, you know, data when it comes to like just like this over reliance on data. Just to not take things at face value and latch on to whatever data points might feed into the most interesting narrative. But to really exercise your creative thinking and to question and to poke holes into things and explore if there might even be another story there that you're missing completely.
Wow, that's a light bulb moment. I mean, I think after now not trusting political polling, it's just like bringing up a whole new thing that a lot of times people can just kind of make data fit whatever narrative that they're kind of hypothesizing in many ways. So you're saying don't take it at face value necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, the first one got so much traction because it
Right,
was so dramatic, like the
right,
division, and I think
right.
it engaged everybody and everybody wanted to weigh in on that.
Yeah.
But anyways, something to investigate further, which I think Jordan, some of your links here are relevant.
Yeah, thanks, Navar. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan, and I am a senior strategist with the culture team. And I'm going to preface this first link a little bit, Michael. So we're going to take a little bit of a turn towards more personal relationships. I know it's February, and so this is always the month when we start talking about dating and relationships. So I'm sure there's some groans. If we were all in person, I would have heard that in the audience. But I think it's still really important, and it does kind of get at these perceived gender differences and maybe how we are actually all moving more together than apart. So this very first link is going to actually be an ad that Tinder just launched last month as part of its new release in an ad series campaign, kind of showing a more open-heartedness and more compatibility-oriented Gen Z and millennial dating scene. So Tinder always being known as kind of more of a slightly toxic, more hookup culture type app, played into their own image, but did it with a twist. So go ahead and click that first link, Michael. There's a quick 15-second ad.
One thing led to another on Tinder. Now you have a boyfriend and a second wardrobe. It starts with a swipe. Tinder.
So I thought this ad was really fun because it definitely pivots the conversation away from just the physical and just the hookup culture that we've been kind of steeped in for the last decade, and brings it more into common interest in that compatibility narrative. I think this is a really interesting term because it definitely creates a lot of opportunities for personal connections based on shared interests. One of my favorite tools that I love to use is Spotify Blend feature. Whenever you pair your own playlists and likes with another user, and it actually shows you your level of compatibility. It shows you which songs you liked, what the other user liked, and which ones you both agree on. I could see this kind of concept, you know, bleeding into other areas like a Depop or Poshmark, having some kind of like clothing or closet compatibility. Just like this fun kind of change where we're more interested in finding somebody with a little bit more vulnerability and based on real personal interests than just the physical. So that's kind of the direction we're
Love
going,
that.
which I think is fun.
Yeah, that's totally more my speed music based matching rather than like astrological match.
Yeah. I think that's so modern. I really love that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's fun. So now we're going to take a little bit of a trip towards the dystopian when it comes to relationships. And there's this Dazed article that just came out. They did a deep dive on Reddit about having virtual relationships with chatbots like Replica and introducing those relationships to real people in your life. It's a little bit dystopic, and Navarre, I'm kind of interested if there are some potential devices that might come out in the near future. I know we just come off the heels of CES, but a way of making some of these chatbots maybe more real interactive lives, someone to have a conversation with, as opposed to just texting through ChatGPT. I think that would be a really interesting thing to watch evolve. I don't know if there was anything in CES that kind of alluded to anything like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I during our pitch day yesterday, I brought up like a couple friendlier robots that we're seeing, but I think the really interesting thing here is that essentially with ChatGPT, you're like training the AI to like give you exactly what you want. And we talked about how, you know, like sort of like unfortunately, like the key ingredient to a lot of like real intimate relationships is that tension and friction, and that you don't always, you know, we each have our own personalities and you're not always going to get what you want. And so ultimately, you know, while things may be smooth sailing, it's maybe not the best.
Love this quote, by the way,
most
when I was looking
optimal
this morning,
for.
it really made me laugh.
Yeah,
A
it's a
whole
bit.
other like complication into family dynamics now when your loved one is dating an
The silver lining to any of this is that you could start to see some of this as maybe more of a tool to help people build confidence in dating. There's another
right.
site, Riz GPT, which is a play off of ChatGPT, of course, which helps coach you through like dating lines and ways of interacting with people if you're just a socially awkward person to begin with. So I'm going to choose to see a little bit of the silver lining in this potential trend. But to like have a Tamagotchi in your pocket that you're like talking to and like actively like dating is kind of interesting. So and then I'll be real quick on this one because I'm sure most people are familiar with the news. The tweens taking over Sephora. Obviously, this is about, you know, millions of 10-year-olds just absolutely like flooding Sephoras across the world and spending thousands and thousands of dollars on beauty care products that most say they don't need at all or are potentially damaging for people of that age. So although tweens feel as though they're experts in this space, they're buying products not recommended for themselves. And I think a real takeaway here is responsible expertise, especially whenever you're on social media and portraying yourself as an expert in a beauty product. Dermatologists and experts need to grapple with the fact that they are reaching people that are way too young or outside of the scope of what they're actually trying to market you on. So there's some questions about ethics and how we're even marketing. Obviously, alphas are trying to mimic millennial self-care behavior. They're seeking peer approval. And it's too early to tell yet whether or not this is actually about skincare or just about, you know, Gen Alpha wanting to be an influencer. And this is the hot thing right now. So who knows if this
Yeah.
trend will evolve in the future? Not totally sure.
It's crazy. We talked about this at pitch day yesterday, and I have a family friend who has an 11-year-old girl, and she has been spending so many Christmas gift cards at like Sephora and all the other stores, and like she and her friends are wanting to buy these things with like retinol and things in it. It's completely unnecessary for their delicate skin, and it's it's really crazy. And I think you're right, Jordan. I think also it's just like wanting a bit of that like influencer spotlight somehow. But you know, it used to be just about like wanting to prevent pimples, and it's not that anymore.
True.
I also
You
think
know,
it's wild that they can afford these like really nice products at
Yeah.
10 years old.
Yeah, I
Exactly,
know. I
Jane.
know.
We won't play right now in interest of time, but that very last link that I have right there is like it's got like 3 million likes. It's a Sephora employee just recounting the story of how there were two sisters that came up to buy things that are like 10 and 9 years old, and one had like a shopping cart of $600 and the other girl only had 400, so she had to go and find a couple hundred more dollars so that the parents felt like it was evenly split between the two of them. My parents have never spent any money like that on me. I'm just absolutely floored by the parents' role in this as well. Very interesting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
whenever I started wearing makeup when I was 16, I got into so much trouble. So things
Yeah.
have definitely changed.
Yeah, and if you guys see in the comments, Missy, who's one of our friends of FS, she is seeing the same thing with her nieces who are in that demographic. So it's really interesting. And then also we have Layla, who's one of our culture team interns, and she jumped on today too. Hey, Layla.
Hi, I'm so happy to be able to join you guys. This first link is a really good segue from what Jordan just presented. It's basically talking about this recent decrease in teen girl culture that we're seeing. So we don't really have those retailers like Justice around anymore, or those pop culture magazines, and even like teen pop sensations. And it's really taking a toll on the youth. There's like a stat in here that basically says that 57% have reported feeling persistently sad or hopeless. And it's really because they haven't been able to create that sense of community anymore. And a big reason for that is definitely social media. It's kind of replaced the purpose of those platforms. And the issue is that obviously with the internet, kids and adults are kind of thrown into the same circles and discussions. So they're getting inspiration from not necessarily age appropriate influences. And we can go on to my next link.
Yeah, there's no CW or any kind of like collective culture for their demographic anymore that's on, TV or physical media. So,
Ex-
you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think we're talking about Layla before about like sort of the demise of shopping malls too. It's like that was like the center of teen culture before, and there were so many stores there that like catered to teens, but I feel like they're graduating straight from like kids to, I don't know, adult.
Yeah,
Or we
we're
see it.
we're definitely seeing in kids wear that as soon as girls or boys can fit into, that extra small, whether it be, H&M or Aerie or Adidas, they're just going straight from, mom and dad dressing them to, buying their own things, which really kind of speaks to the spending power of this Gen Alpha.
Yeah, Sarah in the chat is talking about how there's no catalogs anymore. There's no Delia's. There's no, I mean, you guys will remember them more than me because I wasn't a teenage girl, but I know there were so many back then that like even if your parents couldn't afford to buy you what was in there, like you looked forward to it coming in the mail every month and you would like talk to your friends about the trends and things like that.
Exactly.
Love Delia's. So
Yeah, I had a similar experience with like the Justice catalog, so I feel like I really get it. But this next resource is just kind of expanding on that, talking about how tween taste has gotten more expensive. Like you guys already mentioned, the interest in skincare that they may not even need for their skin, and then also the obsession with things like the Stanley Cup and whatnot. And it's really just because they're no longer really looking at their peers for inspiration. They're looking at these influencers and older individuals, and it's really influencing what they're buying. And it also makes a really good point about the modern consumer as more of a fan of brands. People want to engage with their favorite brands, but also like collect all the colorways and participate in that way. And I think that's really interesting considering the missing media aspect, because maybe this is like filling a void for these young girls. They don't really have anywhere else to put that kind of energy, not the, I don't want to say obsessed energy, but that fan kind of excitement. They don't have anywhere else to put that. So that could be contributing to the consumption that we're seeing from them. And then my last link is just a little overview of this boutique based in Texas called Dear Hannah Prep. And they've gone really viral on TikTok recently. And I think what they do is really interesting because they kind of use their models as internet influencers in a way. So they have them model their clothing, but they also make content for their TikTok account and post it, and the videos go really viral and they've been really popular. And there are some issues surrounding like child protection, labor, and stuff like that. But I think, like you guys mentioned with the catalogs and whatnot, it's kind of an updated version of that in a way, where in the past I would receive those catalogs and be like, oh my gosh, I want to dress like her aspirationally, or I really identify with this specific model. And this is something that tweens can look to. And it's an updated version, so they don't feel like, it's not dated, it's something new. They still get to feel cool because it's like on the internet, but it's just adapting to the new tween. But that's pretty much it.
I thought it was interesting using the word like prep. It's such a subjective thing, but like when I looked at this morning, I was like, I see a lot of pink, I see a lot of green, but I was like, a lot of the styling, it didn't look preppy at all, so I thought that, It's funny
Yeah,
how
it's
you
like taken on a whole new meaning
yeah,
somehow.
yeah. Yeah, I think kids are so much more sophisticated than even those on our team who are in their 20s were. And like Nicole and I have sons who are 3 and 3.5 and 4. And like, I can only imagine the dollar points of the things that they're going to ask for so much younger than we would have ever dreamed.
Right. I
Such a
know.
good segue, Michael, into my links for today.
Perfect.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Yee, Director of Kidswear at FS. Thank you, Layla, so much for your links. They basically set everything up for my first article. So, at FS, we have a lot of lively dialogue surrounding millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. But it looks like, according to Jordan, there may be hope for us sharing our skinny jeans or what have you. But this article from Business Insider about Gen Alpha, it's especially timely because I did not know this, but the last of Gen Alpha is going to be born this year in 2024, which is crazy. And the oldest Gen Alpha is turning 14, so almost ready to drive, get their permit. So we're kind of seeing the begin and ending of the era. So this article points out a lot of really cool things, but what I really want to focus on is the spending power. We obviously saw in the Sephora, the 10-year-olds taking over Sephora, but there's some really crazy statistics that the Gen Alpha and Gen Z are already going to outpace previous generations threefold. They're estimated to make up a third of the spending market in 2030 for luxury goods. And parents surveyed by Morning Consult say their kids are influencing what subscription services they buy. And a third of Gen Alpha parents said they are traveling somewhere because their kids asked about that destination.
Wow.
So not only do we see the parents kind of letting their kids drive their spending decisions, but also, Gen Alpha just on their own, very much knowing what they want to do. So yeah, I mean, these kids, I think they just grow up viewing money differently. Transactions are different. Whereas before we would get, $1, $5 for our allowance for the week. These kids grew up clicking something on a screen. I see that now with my 4-year-old son when he's playing grocery store, he's using his Play cell phone to pay for things versus, dollars and coins. I honestly, once we start playing Monopoly, that's going to be a conversation when he asks what the dollars are for.
Yeah, it's the same at our house. And I also think, I think everyone, except with the exception of Lily at FS, everyone who is a parent, all of our kids are Generation Alpha. So at a certain point, we should be really good experts at this demographic.
Yes.
I'm so glad I'm not. I'm so glad. So glad I had mine earlier than you guys.
For Gen Zers.
Yes.
This kind of goes with my next link. One of my personal favorite toy companies who still do good old-fashioned wooden toys, Melissa and Doug, they recently sold their 35-year-old toy company, and now they're moving into mindfulness toy products for adults. So this collection is going to be called Lifelines, and they're products designed to help adults de-stress by grounding them into their physical senses. So it's a line of essential oils, aromatherapy products, even objects that can keep your hands busy, like journals with tactile covers and all those sensory fidgets. So this is really interesting to me, seeing as how we're saying that we have kids shopping at Sephora with credit cards and phones, and now the adults are turning to toys. So it's like a complete role reversal, which will be interesting to look into.
They're true innovators as far as, entrepreneurs. The company is just down the road from me here in Connecticut. But
Michael, we need to connect with them. They're amazing. I mean,
well, but
Mike,
Melissa, they're not there. The company is still there, but I'm talking about these two people. They're so
they're
amazing.
amazing.
And CBS Sunday Morning or 60 Minutes did a profile specifically on Melissa, maybe about 9 months or a year ago. You should Google it if you can. Fascinating people, and I really respect everything that they, of course, did for toys. Many of us who are parents have all of these toys, but I can't wait to see these products. I mean, they're already appealing to me.
And it's so interesting to me that because they're so innovative and they're moving out of toys, because I was also reading an article about how millennial parents are so stressed out by the overwhelming amount of toys
Mhm.
that they have in their
Mhm.
home. And part of it is because the cost of toys have gone down so much. So basically, a toy that would cost $20 in 1993 only cost $4.68 today. So
Mhm.
there's an issue. And
Yep,
then
and the biggest stress point in my house.
same Christmas and a January birthday. I have
I
way too
know.
many
I'm glad
toys
to
in
have a
my.
son that's born in July because every 6 months I can purge things out. It's a good little cycle, but
Yes.
yeah, you're different.
Um, so my final article, real quick. So being in kidswear, I probably use the word cute about maybe like 100 times a day at least. But this article kind of just explores the deeper meaning, maybe even a more subversive side of cute. And this is an exhibition at Somerset House in London that's entitled Cute. But it essentially wants to talk about kind of not underestimating the power of cute and how different interpretations of what cute is could really lead to a better understanding of what cute's potential is to maybe even help us navigate towards a kinder world where we recognize that maybe even points to a new way of being.
Hmm, that's good. That should be another pitch day for you, Nicole. That's a
I
great
know.
concept. Yeah, yeah. All right. Last but not least, Jane, bring it out. Here we go.
Okay. So I'm Jane with the kids team. Somewhat along these lines of kids and adults starting to swap cultures in a way. Recently on Twitter, Elmo of Sesame Street asked followers just checking in, how's everyone doing? And the responses he got were very, very real and depressing and disturbing. And this article kind of talks about how uh, adults are finding new outlets for kind of their frustrations. Elmo, as this childhood icon, is seen as really soothing and kind of a low stakes outlet for their feelings. Sesame Street did turn it into kind of a mental health conversation, which I think is great. They talked about how it's important to check in on friends and had some of the other characters chime in on Twitter. Uh, so it was just so interesting to see how this is where people decided to really just let it all out, tell Elmo exactly how they felt about the world right now. And I mean, it's not really very surprising that this is the response they got. I'm sure those poor people at Sesame Street were not expecting this type of, not exactly lashback, but just aggressive response from a large number of people. But they did a good job of kind of turning it around and kind of really shedding a light on the reality of what a lot of people are going through right now. And
Yeah.
if you want to go to the link next to it, there's just a quick reaction video that I thought was interesting and kind of fitting with the fun that the internet's been having with this situation as well. And then moving on from that, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the Elmo situation already. In honor of having our internal pitch day yesterday, I just wanted to take a moment to look at a website that I find a lot of inspiration through for countless past pitch days. Michael, if you actually want to go to the Instagram link, I think you'll be able to get a better idea if you just scroll through some of their images on their website. Uh, this company website is called Apicene, I believe it's pronounced. They describe themselves as a fashion tech platform that empowers independent designers to reach a new wave of conscious luxury consumers. They started originally as a feature Instagram, but they're now more of a retail platform for emerging independent designers. And they have a huge focus on sustainability and human connections and their community. The founders met while working at a blockchain company in New York. So they naturally integrated a lot of tech into this company and are kind of constantly looking for new ways to get exposure and just different technology involved in the fashion industry. One of the co-founders named Alyssa Rumford actually went to VCU, which some of you may know, a large handful of us here at FS also attended VCU. I knew her a bit while we were doing some modeling events for the fashion department. And she was always very cool then, so I'm not surprised at all that this is what she's ended up doing so far. And I just think this website is so interesting. They have a really wide range of like very unusual designers. If I could afford this type of clothing, I think I would be shopping here over like Farfetch and stuff, just because this feels so much more personal and creative, and like there's just such a story behind every piece.
Wow, good. I'm going down to VCU just tomorrow for an alumni event, so I can't wait to like talk about her and ask about her. This is great. Wow, thank you, FS team. This is one of my favorite show and tells in a long time. I love the synergy today. Everyone out there, our friends of FS, we're going to follow up with you this week with all these links. You can dive in, and we will see you back in March for the next show and tell. I think that's going to be Wednesday, March 6th. We will see you then. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. Have a wonderful week. Bye.